Then find 3 pans with top, so that you get 3 window workspace. This is something that's there every time, but it's a little bit pain in the butt going through all 3 of those steps. And you can just do this by one press of a button. So I'm going to keep the perspective window and the largest. This is what you're going to be posing the poses in most of the time. So in the right window, we're going to turn this into our render camera. So we need to create it. So in the right window, I go to perspective, and it's going to say that there is one perspective camera. That's the one that we don't want to touch. So that's one. Don't change the name of that one. Go to new, so click on new. So now you have created a perspective 1 camera. So as long as it's selected, click on the name in the tailbox editor. You type in the new name. I recommend render cam, but you can call it anything you want to, as long as you know what it does. And only thing I would suggest is that use the same name for every project in this class. So once we save this workspace, it's going to work for the future scenes. You don't have to do this again. Let's enter. So we have a new render cam. Okay, so this is this camera here. If you see it in wire shaded, press number 5 or 6 if you want to have the nice colors. We're going to test colors upon.
Quick question.
Right.
If I'm opening up Maya and I'm not in a file that you gave me in the timeline already, how do I get the timeline as my bottom third window?
First, check, are you in the animation?
Yep. And I've got the animation tab.
Do you have Maya Classic?
Yep.
That's okay. So next step is go to Windows, UI Elements. So Windows, UI Elements.
Okay.
And then there are 2 things. And sometimes one works and sometimes other, and sometimes you need to click on both. I would go first to the Restore UI Elements, and then click on Show All. That should show it. There is also a way where you can pop out the timeline, and I don't know if that's something that you might have done. So timeline is actually minimized within. So it's there, but you cannot see it. So did restoring the timeline, the UI elements help?
No, I was trying to set it up in a blank Maya file, not the file that you had given us. Because the files you give us has the timeline automatically there.
This is timeline. What are you talking about?
The actual scrub timeline you have.
The graph editor window?
Graph editor,
Yes.
sorry, graph editor.
Yeah, we do need to learn the terminology to at least some degree. Okay, so the graph editor is not showing up. I'm going to get to that. Okay. So all of those 3 windows, we have to do some things before we can save the workspace. So that's going to be the next step. So let's start with the perspective window. Okay, so I'm trying to get the perspective window to show what needs to be shown. Really what we need to work here are the selection curves and the character and the background. So to do this, I'm going to show menu of this window. Show, when I click on it, it gives me the pop-up window. And if I just click and check or uncheck something here, this window is going to disappear every time I do something. In order to keep it from disappearing, I'm going to go to top. And you see the blue empty area. I'm just going to click on it. So this kind of leaves the window out here, so it does not disappear. So what I'm going to recommend that you guys do, click on none, and then enable the NURBS curves, NURBS surfaces, polygons. that gives us everything that we need to work with this ball. And one more thing is I'll go down and uncheck the grid. You don't want to see the grid. Sometimes you need the grid to measure something, but most of the time, grid is not necessary. So now I can close this. Okay. So this is clean from destructing elements such as joints or cameras. You go to show. See my cursor here?
Surface.
So it's the show
Surface right here.
of the
and polygons.
perspective window. So you click on show,
And then
it's going to give
unclick
you this.
grid.
On it.
Okay, and then I'll just hit
Okay, so we're going to do similar thing with the work cam or the render cam. Open it here. So I moved from the perspective window to the render cam that we created. So I'm going now to show, again doing the similar steps, getting the menu stay here. Click on none. And here I only need really two things. We need nerve surfaces, polygons, and turn off the grid. Okay, so we don't need the selection curves when we're creating the playblast. So it's one less thing that we have on the perspective window here. And then how to get the graph editor in this bottom window if it's not showing there. So go to panels. So this is another panels menu of the graph editor window. We're working here. So going to panels, panel, then find the graph editor and click on it. That should bring the graph editor visible. Okay, that makes sense so far? So now there are some things we need to do with our render cam. Set up the right size, at the resolution gauge, save action, save title. So I will go to the render settings. So it is the kind of on the right top corner, the icon of the cutboard with a little blue gear. That's the render settings. I do recommend my software, but it's not important. If you want to render with something else, because we will not render playlist. So in a common tab, the two tabs, so it's a common tab, go down to renderable camera and change the renderable camera to your render cam, or whatever you have named it. And then, what was the size? 60 by 540. 60. Thank you. 540. So type in the width and height. Center. I guess this is same as the preset for the high definition 540. So maybe you can try going to the presets and finding it there. Get the same result. Okay, so you can close it. So now we need to get the resolution gate, save action, and save title. So we need to select the camera. And to do this, there's in the left corner here, there's a little white icon that looks like a camera image. You can also go into the view menu and then select the camera. Same result. So when you select the camera, you're getting the attributes in here. And then if you click on the attribute editor icon on the top, which looks like 3 screwdrivers laying on top of each other, you're getting the attributes of this camera while it's selected. If the camera is not selected, you will not see the attributes. Scroll down, find display options. You're gonna see an option to check the display resolution. So when you click on it, you're gonna get the mask. There's gonna be the wrong color and transparent. So to make it non-transparent, move the gate mask opacity slider to the right to value of 1. And then to change the color, move that slider to the left to make it black. And then just right under the sliders, there's an option to check the save action display and save title display. So check those. Then you can close the attribute editor,
Can I get your assistance?
and you
It
have
went
your
too fast.
render count getting where it needs to be. So before you use it, you kind of need to refresh it because it's not showing correctly. So to do this, I go to the View menu, and I go to Camera Settings. I'm gonna pop this window out so it does not disappear on me immediately. And all I need to do is click on No Gate, and then click back on the resolution gate. And that just refreshes the resolution gate and shows it correctly. Because before, it was not displayed correctly. It's on my account. Yes?
Where did you get the no gate resolution?
Okay, ready? Go to View. So View, go down, find Camera Settings. So when you hover over Camera Settings, you have another pop-up window that I pop out, so it stays there. So there you will see the option to have resolution gate or no gate.
Okay.
You find it?
Yes.
So all just need to be refreshed. You can turn the resolution gate off and turn it back on, and then it displays correctly.
Yep. Thank you.
Yes.
Isn't the reason why yours is black and mine is like this awful white?
Second.
Do you know how to fix
Can select the camera.
Okay, so the
And
width
attribute
was
is
960,
Whereas
and height 540.
Let me select the camera. Make sure the camera's selected.
Or the HD 540.
I have to.
Any more questions? This might seem like a lot,
This doesn't make any sense.
but you think if you're going to work on a production for a year or 6 months, you do this only once. It might take you 20 minutes to do it. Okay? And you want to make sure that
So,
you don't have to do it
what
anymore
am I doing?
later.
Oh, I did this.
So now when I have the resolution gate, I can actually set up the stage of my animation. So now I'm moving the camera to zoom in closer on the ball because you don't want your audience to see that ball. And since the ball starts outside of the frame, I want the ball to be right behind that edge here. So this kind of brings the corner of the ground plane here. So I don't want to see the corner of the ground plane. It looks weird. So I'm going to select this object. Press R, and we're going to make it a little bit longer so you don't see the edges of the ground plane. So now I can. So what I'm trying to do, I use the rule of thirds. So this horizon line, or it could be edge of a room, and it splits the screen in thirds, right? You can see that? You know that from the art class? And now, the final step would be to lock this camera. If you're satisfied, so you select the camera, go to the keyable attributes here. So highlight the names with the left mouse click, and then right mouse click, and go a little bit down and find lock selected. So we are locking camera. So now we cannot change it unless we want to. And if you want to, you unlock it, change it, and lock it again. I'm gonna ask you to do this. Question? Under review, yeah,
Okay,
there are the
so
shortcuts here that I
like
usually
every
don't
time I
teach.
click
There
on
are
panels and it's
usually
like the
two or
render
three
cam,
ways to do
nothing
so.
shows
So
up
if you
here.
now know the other way, it's fine with me. I do,
Are you in your render game?
I do
I'm
want my
in
students
this
to be
scene.
able to
So I go to
I know,
panels, I hit
select
perspective, I
the
hit
attributes,
the render
walk
cam,
them,
and
here
nothing
in
pops up
jump.
here. I go here, nothing, I go there, nothing.
rather
I
than
don't know what's up.
Oh, it looks like you only got channel box in
But then, thanks for
model
letting me know.
modeling toolkit.
But
Let's see,
I don't understand your,
so now we have three window
Wait, what?
workspace
Attribute editor.
that you're gonna use. You can change
What's the
some of
attribute
the
editor?
spacing
How do I
of
get
those
that up
windows
there?
and proportions to what works for you.
It's always
But
been
once you
for
have
me,
what you like, please save it.
unless you took it out.
Okay,
I
so
never took it out.
what we
I don't
have here
know.
now, if you close your Maya, even if you save the file, you're gonna lose the workspace. So it's important, if you wanna keep using this workspace, which you should, we need to save it. Okay, so how to save this workspace? Okay, so we have the group of the icons here on the left, in the center left. So to save it, bring your cursor to one of those two icons, the top one or right one below, right mouse click. And if you go down, it says Save Current Layout. So you click on it, it's going to ask you for the name. Type in the name, click OK. Okay, so now the workspace is saved. So now the problem is, you don't know where that workspace is. Any new workspace that's created goes on the bottom of the list. So it's not showing here. So it's kind of useless at this point. So to make, go ahead.
Where did you click again?
Say that again.
Where did you click? Open that window.
Okay, there's something to point here. See those two? So you go over one of those two windows. It's your choice. I usually put it on the top one. So I go there, and then I right mouse click. So when you do this, a simple click, it should give you the menu, and then find save current layout. Did it help?
Okay.
So when you click on save, it's gonna ask you to name it, and then click OK, it's gonna save it. So now, as I said, it's saved, but it's not active here. So to make it active as one of those two windows, you need to go back here for the second time, right mouse click, and now look for the name that you just named your workspace. So when you click on it, the simple left mouse click for the, it's gonna make that window up there active. I don't want to change my window, so I'm gonna click on it. And also, you can also go here and edit your layout. So you can delete one that you don't like. You probably wouldn't delete the one that are pre-made. Let's say your workspace is not showing something that it should.
For starters,
And it's
this
saved as
doesn't look
incorrect, and you
anywhere
want to
close to
redo
what
it.
we
So
have.
you can delete
So we have
the
to make it a severe.
one that's not correct. Create a new one. Okay, so
I
now
had to take away from the part that this is
you
really
can
grabbing my
use
gears.
this shortcut for every scene that comes later. Yes.
So for some stupid reason, when I go to panels,
Can you have what? I don't know that. I know in older Maya you could have more than 4, but the Maya 2018 kind of limits was there, and I did not figure out yet how to make it more.
alright, thanks. Is that all that he all did? Is that all that he did, or was there more that he covered? Okay. Excellent, thank you.
Okay, any questions about the camera? Again, give it a try. Sometimes, when you listen to me talk and show, it looks obvious. When you try to do it later, something goes a little bit wrong, and then you don't know where to step back and do it correctly. So just ask it for help in a lab or write your message. So that's our window workspace. Okay, so let me show you a couple of examples of that assignment here. So this one first. This is the simple version. So it's a kind of minimum work. You can still get 100 if you do everything perfectly, but you're not expected to do any less work than this. Does that make sense? So what you see here is ball flying in. That's a bounce number 1, bounce number 2, and a little roll. Okay, so it does feel like it stops sooner than it really should. It's almost like the ball is bouncing in the sand, which kind of makes it not bounce as much as it should be. Okay, so here is for you guys who are more advanced and kind of trying maybe to recreate your 2D animation bouncing ball. You can do something like this. So this is a little closer and a little more realistic. Does that make sense? Go ahead.
You want the roll to finish on screen?
Preferably, yes. If it turns out that you couldn't get it on a screen and it stops somewhere out, I will accept it, but I would prefer that it stops on the screen. That's kind of the goal. There's the second example. So students did do a little more than the minimum requirements. That make sense? Okay, so let's just simply start. I'm going to show you how to block out the ups and downs, how to approach blocking the scene. And as I'm saying is, I am using a specific timing that you can feel free to change. Does that make sense? So you can change it to some different timing or different kind of the ball, as long as the ball has squash and stretch. And it's creating nice arcs as it bounces. Okay, so it can be a little bit faster, slower, higher, or lower. And it does need to feel that if it's bouncing here on a planet Earth, not on the moon or some other planet, and if it's bouncing on the surface, it's something hard enough to keep it bouncing, so it's not a sand. Okay, so keep it very simple. Don't overcomplicate. Okay, so there is one more thing in terms of setting that we need to do before we start animating the ball, and this is to create the mel buttons. So far I had you guys to select something, go to the channel box editor, select the attributes, right mouse click and key it. So there are lots of steps. It's kind of not very efficient way of keying. So what we are going to do is we're going to create one button up here on the shelf that when you click on it, it's going to key the whole ball, regardless of what you've done to the ball. Make sense? You will not have to select the ball before you do it. Ball does not need to be selected. So it can be selected or not. When you press the key all mel button, you're keying your pose. So anything that needs to be keyed is keyed. Okay, so you feel free, guys, as far as which shelf you're using. You can keep using the shelf that you have active now. So take a note. Those are the shelves, right? You know what are the shelves? Those things that I'm changing to different shelves with different tools. Okay? So you can keep using what you want to use, or you can create a new shelf. So if you're creating a new shelf, go to the right to this little gear icon, and then it says new shelf. It's going to ask you. So you can create one shelf that you're going to use for all projects in this class, or you can you can create a shelf just for one rig. That's what I usually do. For every rig I'm animating, I create a new shelf. I'm giving you the option. This is optional. You can do this or not. But you need to have the null buttons on one of your shelves. Now, when you create a new shelf, it's there, make sure it's active. Usually it gets active on its own. So when you create a null buttons, they're gonna be saved on this shelf here. Okay, so there are 3 null buttons that I'm gonna ask you to create and use for this assignment. Basically, one is that selects all 3 of those controls together. So it's basically same as if I am adding those 3 things together in a selection. And then there is a null button that's going to key all of those 3 controls, regardless if they're selected or not. And there will be a null button that's basically same as clicking on the main control, which is the large curve, and getting it selected in order to have it moved, to have the ball move, or to have the ball rotated. You're going to have key all, select all, and move. Move and rotate. Okay, so how to do this? So on the bottom right corner, there should be a little white icon there. When you click on it, opens the script editor. So open up the script editor, clear it by clicking on one of the 3. They look like old-fashioned pencil erasers. So the icons, they have a little white and blue. So the one all the way on the left, when you click on it, it cleans the top window. When you click on the middle one, it cleans the bottom window. So when you clean the window, you want to start doing the actions that you're saving. So that window here, the script editor keeps the record of every action that you do in Maya. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I can see the ball, I can see the script editor window, and I can see the channel box editor. So I have a good view of those 3 windows. And I'm going to start, so I'm going to do a simple click on the bottom curve. Make sure that you have only the curve selection enabled. You don't want to select the ground by mistake or anything else, or joints. So I click on the bottom curve, and it is a free selection. So I did not press and hold any button on the keyboard. I simply clicked on that curve. So this gives me a text here. It says select R. And then some other text there. Okay. So now, for the second selection, we want to add it to the first one. So now, to add it to the first selection, I need to hold on Shift. Press and hold Shift, and click on the top curve. Okay, so now the second line says select toggle, or TGL. So that means it's adding to the first selection. And then finally, still holding Shift, click now on the large selection curve, and that makes all 3 of those curves selected at this point. So what we have here is still not saved. We want to save this script on the shelf. So to do this, it's important that you're going to left mouse highlight all 3 lines. I like to start from the bottom up. Highlight, then go to File, and there is the command that says exactly what you're doing. It says save script to shell. Click on it. It's going to ask you for the name. So this one is select all, right? You select it. Click OK. It's going to ask you, is it a Python or Mel? It is a Mel script. So click on Mel. The moment I've clicked on Mel, it has created a new icon on the shell. Okay. So now if I have the ball deselected, I click on this, it's going to select those three body parts for me. Why do I need this? Well, if I want to move the keys in a timeline, or if I want to delete the keys, I want to be able to delete the pose. And you select all to delete all. Any questions about this part?
So, do you think you can cool.
All curves? Let's just read it really fast. I don't have time to repeat this more than twice. So if you can say this from the second time, then ask for help in the line. Okay, so the ball is in there. Open up the script editor, clear it. Okay, so
What is this?
the bottom controls, this, and it did not hold any button pressed.
Okay.
And I press now Shift.
This one?
No, the one on the very left.
This one?
Yes.
Okay.
It might appear that it
To where the
selects the
ball
whole
is.
ball, but if you click on the bottom,
Okay.
Click the bottom
Yeah.
curve.
because all three
Right here?
controls are kind of
You gotta click
related
the
and
right side.
targeted together,
Into
it appears that it's
the,
That's
yes,
on?
yes. And then right on the bottom.
and just look what it says in the
This
script
one.
editor. If it says the same text
Okay.
as what I have, then it's doing it right. Okay? So really just the first control is the select the down control. And it says select R. Then I hold shift and click on the top control, and then it says select toggle up control. And holding shift, I click on the main control. So if you end up with 3 lines, then it should be fine. So the next step is highlight, because if you don't highlight, you will be saving an empty null button without a script. Highlight, go to File, Save Script to Shell. This one is the select all. Okay, tell it it's null script, and it's going to be there. Okay, so if you want to delete this, I created 2 select all, so I don't need both. I don't need both of them. I'm going to delete one. Simply bring the cursor over the icon, right mouse click, and then I have options to edit or delete or anything, something else.
Okay. Get a little bit closer to the ball so you can like select it easier.
Okay.
Okay, so now
Select
the
the bottom curve.
keyhole.
Okay, now
The
shift
keyhole
select
is
the top
similar because we need to key those 3 body
curve. Now
parts.
shift select the middle.
But and to do this, we need to
Now,
select a
go
body
here
part
and
first,
highlight
and then
all these.
key it. So select and key, select and key,
Try highlight.
and
Okay.
then those actions
go
will
to
be
file.
saved as one null button.
Save
So
to save
all
script
those
to shell.
multiple steps will be
Name
executed
it.
with one press of a button. So open up the script editor, clear it, make sure you can see
Yeah, just name it.
ball, script editor, and the channel box
Then click mail.
editor. And I'm going to go in same order. I will select the bottom control. So the extra step is here. I'm going to the attributes. So we have translation controls. Select 3 translation attributes and highlight in blue with the left mouse. And then right mouse click and key selected. That's how we key the car in the first. So you see those actions of selecting and keying stay recorded in script editor. So the next step is, and we don't need to press shift or anything else, so simply click on the next control, so the top one, highlight the attributes, right mouse click, and key selected, and then do the same with the final control. So notice that the large curve has also both translations and rotations. So don't forget to add rotations and key selected. So what we have here in script editor are the commands that are not saved. So we need to save those commands, and we also need to clean them up a little bit because we don't need the selection part. Okay. So it's easier to clean this up later on the shelf. So what I'm going to do is key select all. So go to File, Save Script to Shelf, and this one is key all. Okay, it's asking is it Python or Mel? It is a Mel script. And as soon as I click there, it has saved it up there. So if I right mouse click and go to Edit, I get script here. So Shelf Editor is not the same as the script editor. They're two different things.
Wait, mine doesn't look
So
like yours.
what I want to keep here are the commands that keep. I don't need to keep the commands that select. But when I work in Maya and I have a certain body part selected, I don't want that selection to change when I press my key all. And that would happen if I leave the selection in there. So all I need is that the character body gets keyed. I don't want selection to change. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find lines that start with select and the lines that have result in it. And I'm keeping every line that starts with if. So we want lines with if and everything else we're getting rid of. Simply highlight and press delete. There are also like a little warning complaint, Maya complaints. Please delete those as well because they're irrelevant for what you're doing. So just simply all the lines that start with if, they key the body. Maya knows what to key from that. That's sufficient. We can close this. Your Maya should be automatically saving the shelves. If you're not sure if it does, you can go to that icon on the left that says Save All Shelves. So that should hopefully save. So now, regardless of what I do with the ball and why, so I can do something with the ball. To key it, I'm going to go to the key all and press it. There is a record. Okay? So that ball is keyed. And all three body parts or selection curves. So the bottom has a key, top has a key, and the main control has a key. Regardless of the fact that I only stretch the ball up by using the top control. That makes sense? You want to have the whole pose key on every keyframe, especially for the main key poses. Okay, so the final null button is going to be something that, in order, when you want to move the ball or rotate, you kind of have to zoom in and click on this main control, and then press W or E. Okay. You know, you can also make those arrows larger and smaller by pressing plus and minus. Okay, so rather than kind of having to zoom in and make sure you're clicking on the right line, you're going to create a null button that's going to do that, regardless where the ball is. Yes.
Okay. Do you think you can help me with the second
Press that.
Because when I highlighted everything and keyed it, this is how my script came out to be. And then when I look at your script, it
You asked me
nothing
about
like what
framing
you
or what key. I'm not
on
quite
your
sure.
screen.
No, I mean,
I can try that.
But, yeah, I mean, that
Okay.
exists in Maya. Whatever you have
Here's the
selected, and then you press F, it makes the center of your rotation. So this is not the same thing. I mean,
So
it's a different thing.
I got help with the first key. The second key, I highlighted everything and I keyed
the,
it,
really the purpose
and
of
this
the,
popped up.
you could still
But
do
this
that.
doesn't
I mean,
look
you
like
can go
anything
and
that he had,
select
or
all,
notice like
and then
anything that
press
he
F.
had, like in the script
to
editor.
zoom in.
So I don't know if I messed up
But
on this.
my, the Mel models have a
Because I
different
highlighted
purpose.
everything, like
A slightly different
Try,
purpose.
try
keyed it.
hitting
And
key
yes,
again.
you can do what you're saying.
Oh, so we just like erase this.
So you're right. Noticing that. So really, like
So
very
your
often
keys
you
are
might
playing?
animate and your character can be somewhere far away. In that case, I recommend use your select all or click on the move Mel button to select it
The only
and
thing I can think
zoom
of
in.
is if you didn't do it separately.
That's a good
That's
catch.
all I can think of.
The main point is that it's much faster simply when you need to move the ball, click on the down button. There's another reason why I'm creating that movement button, is because the students often choose to move the ball in a way that they shouldn't. And that's by using the too small controls. Okay, so sometimes students do this. Okay? So they start moving the ball up and start moving it away from the main control. That is not good. So my idea is that by creating the move Mel button is going to prevent that. So that's really the main reason for why I would like you guys to try doing this. Okay? Because you need to move the ball by using that main control. And you see the two small ones they follow. Okay, so let's just do that. We'll simply open up the script editor, clear it. All it takes is clicking on that main control, and that one line is what we want to say. Highlight, go to File, say Script as Shelf, and I name it usually Move. Okay, it's a Mel script. Okay. So my ball can be that far. I can click on that Move, and press F as you said, and have it zoom in, or simply start moving it up and down, or left and right, wherever it needs to go. Okay, so any questions about Mel buttons? Okay, so now when you have Mel buttons and way to key the ball, that's better than what we did before. It's time to start kind of keying. So what we also starting to practice today is the pose-to-pose animation process, where you, rather than going from one pose on one frame and then move to the next frame and to another pose, so rather than animating straight ahead, we are identifying the key poses in different moments in time and putting them there first. So that's pose-to-pose animation. So what I recommend is that you approach animating this in a similar way. And the simple version has the ball on frame 1. So you have to make sure that, again, you start with the frame 1. As far as the length of the scene, that depends on you. Okay? So how many bounces you're going to have and what extra you're going to put in there. That's going to decide the length of your scene. So, I mean, a good start, if you're not sure, could be 120 frames. Okay, there is one extra key on frame 72, some leftover from before. So this is where I would use the, I want to delete this. So this is where I would click on the select all, and then I would go down to the timeline, right mouse click, find delete, and click on it. So I got rid of a pose. I also can use select all. I'm trying to get the deleted key back. Another use for select all is I have a key that I want to move from frame 71 to frame 40. That's when I would click on select all. Press and hold shift and do a simple left mouse click to get this key selected yellow, and then middle mouse dragging it to where I want it. So another reason for select all. I do want to delete it, so I'm gonna select all and delete this key. If you want to make sure if your melt button has deleted everything, do the marquee select of all the selection curves. And make sure before that you're only selecting the curves. And then if you will have left something, it would show in the timeline as a red line if you missed the body part, which I didn't since there's no line there. So basically, to start the scene, I'm clicking on frame 1, where the first pose will be, and I'm going to press W to get my move tool and move the ball as high as you want it to be. It's your decision. You see that by seeing this blue arrow here in the render window, I can tell how high I've lifted it up. And what I do next is go to my shelf and click on the key Alt. That pose is keyed. Okay, so Maya knows where the ball is in frame 1. Okay, so the timing that I do in my simplified version is I work on 8s. So I have ups and downs every 8 frames apart. You can have that differently. You can have combinations. So basically, if I work on 8s, 1 plus 8 is 9. So I click on frame 9. So I move forward in time. So on the frame 9, I want this ball to fly in. And of course, I want it to hit the ground. So when I get it close where it needs to be, I press the key Alt. This pose is not done yet, so I do want to make sure that I have a good contact with the ground. Our ground level is the translated Y 0. Okay? So I'm going to make sure that this ball has the translated Y 0. So I see right now I was not precise, it's 0.37. So I'm simply click on this number value, type in 0, press enter, and press key Alt. So this puts the ball on the ground level at the 0 level. Okay. You also want to make sure, of course, that the control that's touching the ground, the small bottom curve, also has translated Y 0. Okay, so to squash the ball, this ball hits the ground, that's a key pose. So we need to select the top control. So I click on the top control and squash the ball down as much as you think it needs to be for the ball material that you're using. Remember, everything you do something, press that key Alt. So now I have 2 poses. See, I have the first one up in the air, and then the second one is the first bounce of the ball flying in. Do not forget squash and stretch. It's a really important part of animating. Do it immediately. If your ball, you don't have to rotate the ball as it flies, but if you decide, some students do, try to turn the ball in increments of 180 or 360. So it always ends up with one of those 2 small controls on top and then bottom of the ground. Does that make sense what I'm saying here? So you don't have to rotate the ball while it's bouncing. I'm just looking for simple arcs. So the next step would be, I made a decision that my next key is going to be 8 frames in time, so frame 17. I can just, when I move to a new position in time, I can always just press the key Alt, simply to establish a pose there. So now I need to change, basically I have the previous pose on frame 17, I need to change it, so whatever is squashing the ball is not going to be squashing anymore. I need to zero out the squash value here. I also want this ball so it squashes on frame 9. So on frame 17, I do want the ball to regain its shape.
I'm sorry, I missed what you select to insane. Which are the previous
The big curve is for the main movement of the ball, translations and rotations. When you want to squash and stretch, you use the top or the bottom. Don't use both of them at the same time. You want to keep it simple. Usually, whichever curve is on the bottom is going to be touching the ground, so you want to leave it at 0. Make sense? So the bottom one you would not squash. If you're squashing the ball on the ground, you would click on the top curve and move it a little bit down to squash it. And so that's what I did on frame 9. So now I'm moving to the next key pose, which is the ball up in the air again. So all I'm doing is getting ready to move the ball up again. You see, I started moving the ball up by using the small control, and I stretched the ball instead of moving it up. So I need to press Z and undo, and I click on my move null button. So now with the move, now I can move the ball back up. I can move it more forward, because I do want it to move more forward, and key there. So now I have three keys. I have the starting point, first squash on the ground, second bounce up, and then I need to create a second squash on the ground. Does it sound simple enough, I hope, or complicated? If I was rotating the ball, as I said, here, I would actually press E, and that's optional, and I would rotate the ball as close as I can to 180, and then I would go to the rotate X and type in number 180 to make sure it's. So this would make the ball actually rotate in the air. So if you're going to do this, you have to keep in mind that any new key that you do, you're adding to the same rotation. You cannot go back to 0. So if you're going to start at 0, you're going to end up on 180. Next one's going to be on 360, and then what's next? 440 or something? The math is bad. So the rotation value will continue increasing because you're continuing the rotation of the ball. Does that make sense? Okay, so really, I'm not asking you to rotate the ball as it bounces. I'm just going to ask you when it's on the ground, it needs to do at least 180 turn on the ground. On the ground. Okay, so let's undo this. I just showed you guys in the case of some of you are more vicious and want to have the ball roll as it bounces. If you do the ball rolling in the air, it's going to make it harder for you to do the squash and stretch. So keep that in mind. So our rig is not very perfect. It's just meant to teach the basic elements. So on the same note, so basically my next key would be 8 frames or whatever you decide to be your animation. So it's going to come back down on the ground. So I'm going to simply establish a key there. I'm going to move the ball down. Okay. So I did move the ball only down but not forward, so I should not forget to also just be flying forward. Too much. And I want to make sure I have a good contact with the ground, so I'm going to make that the positive Y is 0. Even in typing numbers in the channel box editor, you still need to press the key hold. And then I'm going to click on the top control, squash it a bit, probably a little bit less because it's a smaller bounce with less energy than the first one. Key it. And then I made an arbitrary decision to have my ball stop on the frame 41. Frame 41. Okay. So my ball will move, and I'm going to make a best guess. Again, I forgot to click on the move null button before I move the ball. So I move my ball, it's where I believe it should be the final position. Key it. When the ball is in final position, it will not be squashed again because there's no force squashing it. So I need to find values that are keeping it squashed and zero that out and key it. Okay. So now I have the ball move forward in space, but it's actually sliding on the ground and still not rotating the ball. So, okay, Branko asked us to have the ball rotate at least for 180 degrees. You can turn it for more than that. So how to do the ball rotation? Well, press E, which gives you the. First, you need to select the main body part. Press E. So you have to figure out when the ball is rolling in this direction, is it going to be rotating in this direction? It's going to be rotating in this direction. I hope it's logical that it's going to be turning in this direction. So let's say, let's give it a 360 turn. So it ends up with a blue ball on there. And I kind of did it roughly, as close I could to get it to 360. And that could be sufficient enough. But if you want to make it perfect, you go to the channel box editor, find the rotation that you're working with, in 360, press enter, and E. Okay, so now this ball is actually rotating when it's moving forward. So you will not see that as long as you are in step, as I'm asking you to block your poses. So if you want to see now that rotation, you need to switch to auto tangents. And that's another reason to have that select all. So if you can select all, frame all the points, all the keys in a graph editor by pressing F, and then click on the icon with letter A. So you see the change in the value that we have in the rotate X is now being imitated. So now when I look at this ball will be rotating. Make sense? Okay, so I'm giving you a starting point. I do want you to explore with it and make sure that you minimize the sliding as much as you can. Okay, so there is no safe proof to prevent it. The circumference of the ball needs to match the distance that it travels in order to minimize the sliding. It's a basic math thing. That's what each animator needs to figure out on its own. So you start with a good estimate and then tweak it to make it better. So just do this. Not everybody will have the same results. So this ball is sliding a bit, right? It also rotates as it's squashed. I don't want it to rotate squash. It only needs to squash as it hits the ground. And it immediately is going to regain its neutral shape. So it's going to, most of the roll will be the ball rolling in a neutral shape, right? Not squashed or stretched. So I need a breakdown that's going to get the ball in a neutral shape and rolling. And then I can play with the distance that I'm moving the ball to try to minimize the sliding. Okay. So either the ball is going to travel more than it rolls, or it's going to be rolling more than it travels. So that's where you're going to be experimenting with. Do you need to minimize the rotation, or do they need to minimize the translation of the body? That makes sense, guys? So it does take a little bit of work on your own. And really, what's important for me is that you are working with the wire, with the rotation in there, and kind of solving a problem and getting used to dealing with multiple curves in the graph editor. Okay, so the next step for this would be, and for sake of speed, I have a pre-made animations, which I'm going to use here. But the next step would be, now when I have those main key poses, would be establishing the breakdowns. So what is a breakdown for me? It's a pose that shows the character or the ball dedicated to the movement, or at least starting to get there. Okay. So it also defines the arc of the ball. So let me open this up. Actually, let's do the first one from the scratch. Okay, so there are a couple of ways to approach this, animating this. Okay, so when you only have the keys ups and downs, so if you look in a graph editor what that has created, and the main control is the trusted Y, so I click on trusted Y here, press F, and it's the main control, so it's like the move, trusted Y. See this curve created, it's something that's kind of equivalent to the move path of the ball itself. Okay, so that's something that I want you to be aware and try to create a strong arcs of it. So how can you see those curves and arcs better? There's one tool I'm going to give you. You need to be in the animation tool set and go to visualize. Okay, and there is create editable motion trail. Okay, so please do not create the motion trail with everything selected. Only select the main body part. So click on the main body part, which is the move, select, and then go to visualize and click create editable motion trail. You will not see anything because we turned the visibility of the motion trail off before. So you need to go to show and then find motion trail and check that box. So once you have that box, you see those blue lines. You can actually see a representation of the ball motion as a line. Yes? Yep. So let's do it again. So I clicked on the main selection curve, which is the largest one, or it's the same thing as clicking on the move now button. Then find visualize. Do you have visualize? Sorry? You had something else? So make sure, yeah, and then it needs to be animation, and then go to visualize, and there's a create editable motion trail. You will not see the curve until you go now. The next step is going to show. See where I show, and check the box. It says motion trail. So this will help you see the arcs. What you do. Please do not try to modify the motion trail. I need you to be modifying the ball position itself or the curves in the graph. Okay, so this curve, the motion trail, is not the same thing as the trusted Y. Although it represents the same motion, but you cannot manipulate it in the same way. Okay, so there are things that we can do that will help us create nicer arcs. I can take those curves and use the graph editor. And to do so, I need to select one of those points, the bottom points, if I can marquee select it. So I have this point now selected. It should, selected key will show you this handle, like a light gray handle. So those handles, but if you select one side and then use the little mouse, lets you manipulate how Maya in-between things. So I want to be able to modify the left side, so what happened before the squash, differently from what happened after the squash. So I need to break that angle. And I do this by going to the icon here that looks like a letter V. See my cursor in this area? So it looks like letter V and click it. So this breaks that handle. So now I can go here, select one side and modify it individually. You see I'm creating a curvature in the T. Same here. Break it. So I can basically create perfect arcs without any keys. But that's not the point of this class. I want my animators, and I need them, to be able to key the breakdowns and control the arcs by keying the breakdowns, creating and keying the breakdowns. Okay, so if I look at this ball, you see, okay, for some reason the curve up there was not updated, so I was trying to figure out why. Sometimes Maya just lags. So basically, you see how those curves, the motion trail has now changed, and the ball is actually moving in an arc. Okay? So you could, use what Maya has created. So the Maya in between, you can use it to create a good breakdown. What I'm recommending in the simple way is, I try to work on twos. So when I end up with 3 breakdowns between my keys, I have key on 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, 19. That's what I learned working in TV animation, that you can get almost everything, not everything, but almost everything, move relatively nicely or good enough for TV animation if you key it on twos. Why? Because you save on drawings. It's a matter of money. Okay, so basically you have every second pose keyed. And you know that in animation, you actually, any movement at a normal speed, you cheat. You don't have in-betweens for every single frame, but you have in-betweens for every second frame. Does that make sense? Kind of like what I'm doing here. You know? Basically, for 24 frames of a second movie, you can only do 12 drawings because of the laziness of our eye. That's a news to you? So the idea is, again, kind of using that idea from 2D and try to block my scene on twos in 3D if I can. Maya will turn this and move everything on every single frame anyway, right? So my goal is, if I get the curves by using the graph editor to this position, I can click on frame 5 and press the key O. So I'm kind of doing what I'm asking you guys to do is that, okay, I want to have a key keeping the arc of the movement. That makes sense? Notice when I was switching from step to auto curves, I have lost breaking of the tangencies. Be aware of it. So basically, now, if I look at this from the orthographic view, I have keys. Okay, so see how this ball is moving in an arc to go down to the ground. So to me, it's more important that you are actually able to do this manually. So if I press W, and I think that, okay, there is a curve to this ball, but I want it to be stronger, that you are able to, by moving the ball a little more forward or a little more up, you're creating a stronger curve. That makes sense? Also, when I use the Maya in between, Maya has already in between the squash of the ball. I don't want the ball to be squashed on my breakdown. On breakdown, the ball needs to conform to the arc. So the tilt conform to the arc of the ball, needs to aim for the place where it's going to hit the ground. So the top, or the leading part of the ball is leading towards the place where it's going to hit the ground, and then continue doing same. It's also going to peel up from the point where's the center of that pose, bouncing back up. Okay? So really, on this breakdown, this ball needs to be stretched. So what I recommend when you're doing the angle of the ball that's flying, I recommend that you're actually using the rotation of the main control rather than using this. You can also create a stretch of the ball. So better way is simpler. Am I making sense here? Create the angle of the ball conforming to the arc of the movement is to rotate the ball. So there is you see how the ball goes in a curve and then it goes straight down. Well, there's some issue there, so I need to check some of the curves might be still in step, but the rotation of the ball is in step. Must be something else as well. So translate. Oh, there's a translate Z. Okay, so now this ball is still not perfect. I'm still missing the moment before hitting the ground and slow out at the beginning. So that's really the next step. Adding here. Right now, this ball kind of looks like it's sliding on the ground as it hits it. Okay, so it's not aiming for the point where it should be. So this is the next step of adding those few more breakdowns to really control the path of the ball flying down. So let me switch now to the pre-made scene here. Let's take a speed because we need to be finishing here. Okay, lecture 2. So here is a version of this with the breakdowns done. So I don't have anything else in this scene other than the extremes of ups and downs and one breakdown between each of those. That makes sense? And you can see how it already is defining the arcs of the ball, as well as I have the squash and stretch defined to some degree. So the next step, I do also want to point out, you see the roll? Even the roll has the little breakdown. What I've done here is the idea is that the ball does not bounce up after the final squash, but it kind of stretches as if it's trying to separate from the ground but doesn't quite succeed. Okay, so that's my breakdown here. And then after this point, the ball regains its shape and rolls at the normal shape and finishes it. So the next step would be adding the final. So the moment that shows the ball when you're bouncing up in the air, there's an energy pushing you up. And the energy dies out, which makes you kind of stop in the air, and then gravity takes over and you start falling down. So that's the moment when you kind of hang in the air for a short amount of time. So this is what you're showing by adding slow in and slow out position. You show the moment before you hit the high point, and then the moment as you start speeding up. Okay? So as the ball is flying down, okay, so we don't see the first key. So this is the breakdown, and then we have the squash. So here we also need one more breakdown. So in 2D animation, they made you do the stretched contact there, right? Okay. And when you're working on twos, that's something I need to add later. Okay. So my goal really here is to add another breakdown that defines the arc, so keeps the arc, and as well stretch of the ball, but it's not necessarily contact yet at this point. There's a slightly different approach, and you have to decide you're going to follow 2D or this one. And I need to open another version to make sense of what I'm saying here. So when I open the version where the slow ins are added, slow in and out, and as well as the moment before hitting the ground and right moment after, I have something like this. graphics side view. Almost done, guys. And if you see the curves and the motion tab, it will help. So let's do that. So see, what I end up, and that's I'm asking you guys to do, regardless of what kind of buzz are doing, is define an arc with 3 breakdown keys. Do my words make sense? So the timing can be different. Some of those can be 1s or 2s. So you don't have to work everything on 2s. But when you do something like this, you see, even when the ball bounces back up, I have 3 breakdown positions. So really, it defines how did the ball start going back up, hitting the extreme of the motion before slowing down, and then slowing down before stopping to move up, and then again starting to fall down, starting to hit the constant speed, moving the constant speed, and then being surprised on the ground again. Okay. So this is the idea, is that when you have any 2 keys and when you animate a moving character, biped character, if you can define any motion the target does with 3 in-between positions, at first, you're putting yourself in the right position to kind of start getting something done. Okay, so now so if I watch this, I can so I did what Branko is doing, but this does not look like a bounce. It doesn't feel right. It's a little bit slow and even. Okay, I guess I need to show the nerve surfaces. Okay, so this is the simplest version that Branko has shown. It's not perfect, so I wanted a bit better timing. I want it to be faster and snappier in some places. So how to approach this? I also want to apply what I learned in 2D animation with that contact before the squash. How can I do this and combine it with what Branko has shown us? Okay, so here is how. So basically, if you look, what I have here is on frame 7 is the moment before it hitting the ground, and then on frame 9, my ball hits the ground. Okay. So if I let Maya in between this, Maya already starting to squash the ball, which is not good. It's squashing too soon, and then it squashes. So really, I need another little breakdown there. It's that keeps the ball stretched before it hits the ground, right? And maybe I need a contact with the ground or just a moment before it. So how can I do this with what I have here so far? Well, simply by adding another breakdown of frame 8 in this case. So how to approach creating? Well, I can key Maya in between and then stretch it and get it in the right position. Or I can also copy the pose from frame 9 and paste it on frame 8. So if I do that, I'm using the middle mouse copy technique. So I select all, press and hold middle mouse and drag it to 8, and then press the key all. So this has copied the pose from 9 to frame 8. So all I need to do is, why is this good? Because I kept the bottom of the ball in the right position this way. So now I can take the top of the ball, stretch it here. Okay, makes sense? Somewhat? So this has changed the speed of the ball. So Maya had a completely different choice from this one, right? So this creates a snappier bounce. It's faster. That Maya creates more slowdowns. How can I speed up the ball movement? Let's say I want the ball to bounce up faster than what I did it from 2s. I simply have to make a decision of which pose I want to speed up, which means give it less time on the screen. So is it going to be 11 or 13 or 15? So 15 is slow down to 17, so I don't want to speed that up. But I have to speed up either 11 or 13. I can also, on frame 10, I can create a breakdown, because Maya is also in between this ball, and has the ball staying stretched as it bounces up. So really on frame 10, I could have the ball stretching as it goes up. So a little more force, because it's a violent action hitting the ground. But all I want to say is, how can I speed up one key to make it faster? So let's say if I look at the sort of frame, so suppose on frame 13, right now has frame 13 and 14 before it gets to the pose on 15. So it has 2 frames to get from this position to this one. I want that to happen in only 1 frame. Isn't it logical that everything that's to the right of the pose on frame 13 needs to be moved to the left 1 frame to speed it up? So basically, what it means is I hold on Shift, press and hold middle mouse. Important part I missed is you need to select all before you move this. So click on your select all, hold on Shift, and then start with all the poses after the key that you're speeding up, and move them 1 frame closer. Okay, so this has sped up and bounced up, because now it covers the same distance, this distance on only 1 frame instead of 2 frames. Does that make sense? So if you wanted to slow down, like a high point, then you would take the keys after and maybe move a frame or 2 to the right. So it's going to make that hang time a little bit longer. So really my point is, if you feel the habit of trying to get everything working on 2s, then it's easy to make it faster or slower, working 1s or 4s or 3s. And with that note, if you guys have any final questions about this, can you notice how the ball hangs out in the air a little bit longer than before? So that's what I want you guys to kind of explore it. You know, try to create what you think the bounce should look, the way you see it. And try to keep it as realistic as it should be. But again, sometimes students who are learning and have never observed the motion, they can make a wrong decision about how something should move and what they see. Anyway, so questions, yeah? I know it's a lot of talking, but really there's not that much to do. Do your planning, try to finish it tonight if you can. If you can't, then work tomorrow and submit it at the end of the day. Okay, let's see the time here. Almost on time. 51. I'm going to take the lab instructor that I told you to have the break till 3:15. Okay, so we'll be back at 3:15. Yes. Oh.
I missed everything that man said and did. And I'm a little upset.
I mean, it looked like you were kind of freaking out there.
What?
It looked like you were kind of freaking out there.
What? I'm sorry?
It looked like you were freaking out. Kind of like you were getting overwhelmed.
I really wish that he would do what Adam Factor would do, you know, like probably like 30 minutes or 40 minutes within a lecture, stop, kind of like go around, see who's like in need of like one-on-one assistance, and then go back to doing the lecture. Because when Anafaka, you know, did that,
Yeah. Well, he expects a bit more, but you know, every teacher's different. But he does, you know, like ask. Like,
he asks questions, but the thing is, I'm not. It's very hard for me to translate what's the issue, and then if I'm being given back verbal instructions, they don't do anything for me. They don't do anything for me. Okay, everything. I basically missed everything in the lecture because
you need to have student success
w-
letter for something stating like this.
well-
I cannot lecture everything for you privately.
what I missed was when you made the first control, I got help from him. After the second control, from there on out, I just
You should not be doing then things. You should be taking notes on it.
well, I have a certain way of taking notes. I was trying to follow along.
I understand, but if while you're working, you cannot follow the rest of the lecture, then that's stopping you from following the lecture. So, more important that you understand. I'm going to show you how to do those. It just, I do, again, need you to be able to get more of the lecture than apparently you did. Did you solve the playbus problem?
No. I was hoping to do that during the lab with one of the instructors here.
Notes of the playbus.
Okay, you know.
Okay, I don't mind you helping you, but it seems that you could approach this slightly differently. Okay, so let me see what you've done. Which mail button you have here? Select all. Can you right click? Edit. Not open, but edit. Okay. Or you have down, up, and main control. Okay, so delete the warning stuff. We don't need that. I was not aware it appears, so you can close that. So that looks fine.
Okay.
So the key all. Can you maybe minimize that?
Minimize this.
The script editor window, just half of that length. Okay, that's better. That's fine.
I don't even know where the heck these even came from. I don't know if I'm supposed to delete them or something. Do I?
A script editor takes note of every action that you did ever.
So I could just
So,
erase
so
this.
clean it, yeah.
So, because what I did was I highlighted everything here, like you did, and then when I right-clicked, I hit key selected. I got this, and I also got that. But the thing is, I noticed that when
You're missing a step here. So let's slow down. Let's back up. Deselect everything and clear everything.
Okay. So.
Deselect the ball.
Okay.
Clear that clearing action also.
Okay.
Okay. So we want to select something so we can key it. So I like to start with the bottom. Click on it, go there, highlight, attributes, and key.
Oh, so everything's keyed by itself. Okay.
Okay. So now click on the top control. Don't have to hold shift for this. Highlight, it's already highlighted, so key. So now click on the main control.
Which is the middle.
Make sure everything is selected. You don't have everything selected.
Oh,
Don't hurry. Okay. So now key.
key selected.
Okay. So now highlight those text and save it.
Okay, file, save, script
Set
to
to
shelf.
And this is key all.
Key.
Sorry if I sound too overly excited.
No, it's all right. It's all right. Okay, so now that I have that all taken care of.
So we can close this for a moment, and we need to take out something extra in there. So
I can
just
exit out.
minimize it or close
minimize.
it, whatever.
Okay, so.
Right click, edit.
Okay.
So delete everything that's only keep the lines that start with if. So select delete, result delete, and any other.
Okay, select result.
And that's good that you're asking questions. So I'm not trying to stop from asking your questions. I would just like you to have a little bit more record of what's happening during the lectures.
Okay.
So now you can close it. So that should be the key all.
Okay, and then I know there was one more key that
It was
you
the
had.
move.
Okay.
And basically it is, yeah, just open up the render settings,
Okay.
deselectable,
Oh, you select everything. Okay.
and
Oh.
click an empty space that
Okay.
deselects the ball.
Okay.
And now clear it.
Do that. Okay.
So now it's really just like clicking on this control.
Oh,
so
this
click
one.
on this. That's what we're saving as the move.
Okay, so just highlight
Highlight and save it and name it move and
Okay.
rotate, because that's what you're going to use to
file,
move and rotate the ball.
save with the shelf. Okay. Move and rotate. Okay. And hit
Now it's
now.
good. Okay, so now when you want to move the ball somewhere or turn it, you're going to click on that.
Oh,
So
okay.
click on that and press W. So now you can be moving the ball.
Oh, okay, cool.
And when you press E, then you can rotate the ball.
Oh, okay, so this allows for basically every single change.
So this is the main movement of the ball. You're going
Okay.
to use the top and
Mhm.
bottom only to squash and stretch the ball.
Okay. Okay. There was also, I think after that you started to go into the animation.
I said what?
I think after you created these three, you went to the animation aspect
Yes.
of it.
I started blocking out the key poses.
Yeah. So that's basically where it's no different than what we did back like with the car, correct?
It's similar in many ways, other than it's more complicated, because with the car you just moved it in translate Z or one axis.
Okay.
Now you're moving the ball forward, but you're also moving it up and down. You're also squashing and stretching it. So
Okay.
it's a little bit more complicated than the car.
Okay. So
Just taking it a step further.
You said we're supposed to have 3 lines here, correct? So then how do I break it up so I have 3 lines here?
Yeah, there's no need for having 3 lines. See, the lines show there when you key something. And right now, you don't really have any keys. What frame is this on?
I think it's
This is existing. You want to delete this. Click on your select all. Go
okay.
just slightly to the right of this, right mouse click,
Okay.
and delete it. This is a leftover that we don't need.
Okay.
I'm going to go on frame 1. You want to set this to number 1. So it's not
Oh.
0, but number 1. There's a difference. So click on number 1.
Okay, there's one.
And make sure that those 2 windows say 1. Listen.
Okay.
Okay, so now,
I think that was
this project is about you showing me how you can apply what you learned in the
2D animation with
animation.
the bouncing ball.
So I'm not going to go through all the steps I did with moving the balls up and down and squashing and stretching. I can show it on one pose, but I'm not going to go through everything. Does that work? What I did on the first pose is, again, I did press W. First, we want to make sure that you using the move to do this. So yeah, click on move. And now you can move the ball up high as how high do you want it to be. And you can kind of see here. Okay. So that's probably enough. Okay.
Okay.
So now you need to press your key all now button to key this. Okay. So now you have to decide on a timing. So when do you want to have the ball hit the ground? This is going to be on frame. I had it on frame 9. You can have it a little bit slower or faster. I'm going to let you create your own bounce.
Okay.
So at this point, you can press the key all simply to establish your line there.
Okay.
And now you can move the ball forward, down, and squash it. And then key it.
So
And then so on and so on.
Bring it down.
Probably want it a little more forward, a little more in. You want to move it down to the 0 Y level. So you can maybe be looking up there. Then you get close to 0, then you can key it.
Oh yeah, I could just hit the key all.
I will still now make sure you select the move. It probably is selected, but I just make it the translate Y exactly the 0 by typing the number 0 in here and pressing enter and keying. And key it, press the key all. And so now you would click on the top control and squash it down.
Okay, let me
You need to switch to W to do so.
oh.
This is the main control. It's the top control to
Okay.
squash. There's a bottom, top, and middle. So the top one. So click on that, zoom in. As I told, this needs to be, click here, turn everything off, and click on the selection curve only.
Okay.
So now it will be easier to select correct. So now you can squash
Oh, okay. So it's a little different.
So squash it and key it.
And
Then it's gonna move in time forward. It's gonna create a high position in the air when it's not squashed.
okay.
And then again, so establish your
Yeah.
key poses, and if you're gonna have more than 2 bounces, then you have more up and down keys.
Alright,
Let me
okay.
try to check a look at your.
Okay. So we just exit out of here.
No, just you can save it or.
I guess I could hit, file, save, scene as. I'll just save it to the
I mean,
desktop.
the Playblast preferences are. Doesn't matter which scene you're working with.
Bouncing ball, 3 a.m. HL5. So I'm gonna just hit save. Wait, just make sure this.
Я себе ставил корку.
Oh,
Učim na glavno vrat. Tam pišu sve sobe, samo nema
no,
129.
that's 129.
There is no 129.
I know it's hard to find. I'm sorry.
New
I
one.
Ja
didn't
sam
think of it.
izašao van, zovem Skyler, Skyler sam
Save as.
Shvatiš da sam studenta vidio.
Continue.
Kako bi rekli.
Well, ja bi te zvao da nisi. Skužili bi u čemu je problem.
Sam si izgubio čovječe od piramida.
Let me just minimize this. This isn't really too important. So it's in the car race, which is here. Let me just open this up.
No, let's make sure that you get the Playblast. This is past. Let's make sure
Play block.
you can do the correct Playblast in your bouncing ball assignment.
Oh, so you want to see it in there?
Yeah, we want to make sure that those settings are working.
Oh, well.
This is the past, gone. That's why I was looking while you're closing that scene. Once you do the Playblast settings right, it should work for any scene.
Okay, so
So
I'm gonna have
we
to-
don't even have to have anything open to get it right. But
okay, I'll just this is doing this to me.
what was saying that this? And what Maya are you using? 18. Okay.
Yeah, I'm using 18.
You know you can turn this off. Deselecting this so it doesn't come up every time, unless you want it to. But I don't see a reason. Okay, it's thinking. I mean, that's one of the things about the Maya 2018. It takes forever to open an older
Yeah.
file. I think it's switching some nodes from
Um,
older versions into the new version. So hopefully it won't crash.
Get out of here. Okay, now I can hit OK. All right. Let
Okay.
me just exit out of here. There's nothing really
Okay.
to
yeah.
save. So I'm just gonna open up the bouncing ball scene again. Out of that file and go back into the bouncing ball. So this is the new one. This is the newer one. So I gotta open this up. Okay.
Sometimes might even the rig might cause Maya. So I do want to make sure that you can do Playblast for this project.
Because here's the thing. When I was doing my race car, I set up I completed the animation. That's when I hit the play blast to then export the movie, if you will, the animated short, and it.
Yeah, I would hear the words, but I have a hard time picturing what exactly they mean. There's so many things that could have gone. So let's just do it right here. Okay.
Okay.
So go to the render settings. It's still
right
opening. Just a second.
Here.
Let's wait for it.
Okay. So I gotta go right here.
So click on it.
Why is it doing that?
You need to close. You have extra stuff open and slowing you down or something. I don't know why. This is really slow. Yeah. Everything extra that you have open, close it. Like all those other windows, internet. You came here to work on Maya, not to do the other stuff. Anyway, so change the renderman to Maya software. This will be better. Go to the renderable camera. You do have it, the render cam, right?
Yeah.
You have 960 by 540, so that should be good. So you can close that.
Okay.
Go to preferences. Go to the display. Click on display. Go here to the rendering engine and change this to OpenGL Legacy. Okay.
Okay.
Close it. Now go to the timeline and right click and go to the playlist settings. This is good. From render settings 1, so that is good. Close it. So now only have this window open, and now go to timeline, right mouse click and play blast. Continue. It's crashing. Interesting. Why would it be doing that?
After this, do you think kind of run me through the lecture? Like through like what you like the steps that you did, because you were following along.
Can you close this?
Yeah. Let me just hit the X icon. Sure. Let me just open it. Should open it again. I don't know why it's doing that.
What QuickTime do you have? Is this 10?
Yeah, that's what I use to record. Cause I'll try and record it, and then I'll try and follow along.
Are they recording? What?
Yeah, when I click on it, I'll hit new screen recording. So everything that's actually happening, as well as the
And what do you use this for? To create
take
a video?
notes, to take notes, to create videos, essentially. That's what I do to help me out, and that's how I was able to do the first project so well, or at least I thought I did well. I don't know.
Okay, so let me see if the oldest settings have stayed to what we changed them to.
Still opening. Yeah. So, what the heck?
It's opening slowly. One thing that could be that you have too many things opening, and it's just when you try to create a playlist, it just crashes because of that. Your processors of the new Macs are just too weak to handle Maya. So it is the correct thing.
The only thing I have is just Chrome. I'm not, using ZBrush or Photoshop. I just have,
I know, but the browser can get pretty high memory
Oh.
usage.
Oh, that's the
Especially if
case.
you have videos open and stuff like this.
Oh, well, if that's the case, then I'll just exit out.
Okay, so this setting is right. What else can we try changing? Renderer.
Have you ever thought about recording these lectures?
I'm not online teacher, and I repeat things often for students who don't catch up things. I don't want my students to just sit here and watch videos while I'm lecturing because they think, oh, I'm just going to watch it later. Okay. I want my students to take notes, pay attention, ask questions, and that's why I really avoid recording my early lectures. I will have, though, later on when we do the final project, I'm going to have some podcasts about how to do the walk poses and stuff.
Okay.
So I'm generally against it, but I do use them sometimes.
Okay.
And if students have a student success letter, then I work with them more individually. Okay. And if they don't, then I expect them to be working at a normal pace. Okay, so let's see. I checked this. I checked this. There are a couple other things. One is restarting the preferences, which I would not want to do right now. Let me try again. So I'm gonna crash it again. So now I did it. So
Wait.
okay, so I did do a playlist. So it's working.
So now it's working? That's
Maybe it took for it to be restarted.
okay then. So I could just exit out of this video then.
Yeah.
If I wanted to. Okay then. Excellent.
Okay.
So all right then. Nice.
Cool.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I mean, while I'm here.
Okay. So that's I'm basically caught up, correct?
Well, hopefully you know what to do with the ball, but I do want to see what you know and what you can do. And you can always ask the question during the lab. When you ask questions, try to make them very specific.
That's the thing. I'm a very visual. I'm a very visual person. It's very hard for me to try and it's difficult to try and like formulate like a question. And if I have like verbal instructions, those also don't kind of. It's very hard to translate those verbal instructions. That's why I was.
So what kind of instruction worked for you?
Like verbal instructions. Like if somebody says to. If someone says something like verbal instead of like kind of like demonstrating it or showing it, it's
Do you mean said or written?
I like to see things visually done. That's how I learn.
Do you just say that you don't work well when you see it?
Well, no.
Adjusting yourself.
No. The reason why I bought up the QuickTime player is because the thing was I was so far behind that I was just.
You were not expected to have anything done during the lecture at all, so I'm not behind. Okay, so really, this is what you do at today's lecture. Just get the settings done. That's what you did. You got help. Keep doing that. Okay. I'm not complaining because I mind you asking the questions. I just need you to catch a little bit more during the lecture and I'm trying to figure out. So maybe you need to take more of those notes rather than trying to work with me. Okay, so don't worry. I don't want you to worry. I'm not mad at you or anything like that. Okay. I do get many students who have, disabilities, and they pass the class without no problems. I'm not saying you have one.
Yeah.
It's just your willingness to, ask questions, follow directions. That's gonna pass your failure. Okay. So not being able to do something from the first is not a big deal. Okay. I need to see some of the students' work so I can judge and know what to help with.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can show it and